At one occasion, I remember my team members come and they said, "Sir, for doing a work for the nation, will they hang us?" One of the phone number had come to Delhi and stayed in somewhere in the Batla House area. To our surprise, there was a 13th May, there were blasts in Jaipur. All these numbers were not working in the sense that there was no calls during that period. During the Gujarat blast also these numbers were off. And in Delhi blast also these numbers were off. That gives a lot of suspicion. Later on when we search their mobile phones record, their laptop, number of songs which were there, they have not come out basically. And anybody listens to that, person will be motivated to join terrorism. It started with Tihar jail. There were 3 people in Tihar. They exchanged ideas and became friends. After coming out, they were collecting money for terrorism through kidnapping. We were able to trace ultimately the Indian Mujahideen. You cut S of the Simi and I of the last of the Simi and it becomes Indian Mujahideen. See, Atiq Ahmed, when he heard the name of special cell, his pantaloon was wet.
What happened with Nirav Modi?
We attached the diamonds as per the invoices, 3,800 crore. But its value was only 28 crore. The case of anti-corruption which I caught in 87. From 1988, I appeared in this case in 2007. And by 2007, the main accused had died. We require faster trial. We require more magistrates. We require system where advocates are not able to take time again and again.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching or listening to the ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. Thank you for liking or subscribing to the channel and sending in your suggestions. In the past couple of years, the central agency, the Enforcement Directorate, has been under intense scrutiny. The opposition leaders say that the Enforcement Directorate is being used by the BJP to selectively target opposition leaders and thereby subvert democracy. The ruling party, on the other hand, says that the Narendra Modi government is out on a cleaning spree, ridding India of corruption. My guest today is an Indian Police Service officer who retired as the Chief of Enforcement Directorate in 2018. In his 34 years in the police, Karnal Singh has led many investigations, counter-terror investigations and anti-money laundering operations. During his tenure as Director of Enforcement Directorate, he also held an additional charge as Director of the Financial Investigation Unit of India and contributed to the preparation of the draft Fugitive Economic Offenders Act. Mr. Karnal Singh also spearheaded the Batla House operations. What is Batla House operation? Here's a short primer. The Batla House encounter case happened on September 2008 in New Delhi when an armed unit of the Delhi police went in to arrest terrorists of the Indian Mujahideen who were hiding in a flat in Batla House. 2 terrorists were killed, but it also resulted in the death of a police officer, Mohan Chand. Thank you, sir, for coming to the podcast and being part of this conversation. We have many things to talk about, including your book. Like Enforcement Directorate part of your career, वो second half में बात करते हैं. पहले तो let's talk about the case which captured the imagination of the public, which is the Batla House case. And I want to talk about the Atiq Ahmed case also. But Batla House पे पहले करते हैं, वो तो लोगों ने streaming पे देखा भी हुआ है. It was such an important case. So let's start with that as to what happened that day. And how it changed investigation, how did it change, operations in Delhi Police?
See, Delhi Police Special Cell is one of the best in investigation.
Okay.
Particularly related to terrorism and even tracing the dreaded criminals. There had been blasts accepted by the Indian Mujahideen, which was not known what is Indian Mujahideen by that time. Starting from 2005. In between, some people were caught. But the people who were caught by some police teams, they were basically the people who had provided logistics.
अच्छा, operation terrorists नहीं थे.
Operational terrorists were not there. So first lead came from Gujarat. In July 2008, there were blasts in Gujarat. And Gujarat police arrested some of the Simi people. They had provided logistics. And actual operators had used 4 phones. These phones were given to every team, including the intelligence agencies and other police forces. We had one of the AS Inspector, Mohanchan Sharma, who got these numbers and who started investigating. Now, one more input was there that one of the phone number had come to Delhi and stayed in somewhere in the Batla House area.
In Okhla.
In Okhla.
It's a densely populated area. So for our viewers and listeners who don't know about it, this is a very densely populated area. So I guess policing these areas is also a task, a difficult task.
It is it is so densely populated. If any police officer moves in that area, he will immediately be spotted.
Ji.
And it's really difficult. So Mohanchan Sharma was able to trace one number. Now, how he traced one number is there was one call out of these four numbers from Mumbai. The record was showing it is a 1 second call. 1 second call comes only when the call comes and you cut it. It is not a missed call. It is not accepted call, but it is not accepted call. So most of the police thought that it was just a chance call and they did not bother about that. But Mohanchan Sharma followed it. Now this phone belonged to basically Lucknow. It had never gone to Gujarat. So what he did is he tried to find out whether this number is connected with any number in Delhi. So we got one number. And he started working on this number. Then on 18th September 2008, Intelligence Bureau gave an input that Mumbai police has arrested a thief. That thief had provided 4 vehicles to terrorists. Now he located the house in Gujarat. And he also told that the people who had caused the blasts, they had gone on the same day, that is on 26 July 2008, by Rajdhani Express to Delhi. Now this was a crucial information which came on 18th September. And we started working on it. There were various possibilities to work on it, like who all people have travelled from Ahmedabad to Delhi at that time. But what we did is we tried to find out if there are any reservations done from Delhi and return reservation for 26 July. So we found there were 13 people.
Okay.
And who had got the reservation from Nizamuddin railway station.
So you knew that there's a big plot or big thing which is going to happen.
Yeah.
How much time has gone now between the investigation of the first lead and this?
See, first lead was of the telephone numbers, which came somewhere in August.
Okay.
But that telephone number, the person was not talking much sense, which indicates that he is involved in terrorism.
That it's a big thing. We were talking about the 15 numbers.
We were talking about the 13 people who had travelled from Ahmedabad to Delhi on the day of blast in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad. So we found that there were 13 reservations actually done from Nizamuddin railway station for return reservation. And then we found all these numbers were not belonging to these people. Addresses were fake, wrong addresses. So then I made a query to Mohanchan Sharma. You tell me whether the number which we were following, whether that was at Nizamuddin railway station at the time of reservation done. So we found yes, he was present at the time of reservation. Then we started exploring all the numbers connected with this number. And then to our surprise, there was a 13th May, there were blasts in Jaipur. All these numbers were not working, were on silent, or you can say not working, in the sense that there was no calls during that period. Then we also found that during the Gujarat blast also these numbers were off. And in Delhi blast also these numbers were off. That gives a lot of suspicion.
Why? If it's off, then why suspicion?
Why they are off on the particular time? On the blast when took place in Jaipur, on the blast when they took place in Gujarat, and the blast when it took place in Delhi, these numbers, there were no calls to these numbers or from these numbers.
Radio silence ka matlab hai that they were doing something at that time.
That means they might be doing something.
Okay.
There was suspicion. I would not say we were sure, but there was a suspicion on them.
Okay.
So we started tracing them. And then found that L18 Batla House, on the fourth floor, we could trace the person stays there, one person out of those. So we decided this information we confirmed at night on 18th, 19th night. So there was debate whether we should search now or we should search in the morning. Because that time Ramjan month was going on. And generally these people at night roam around and they may not be at home. So we decided that the team will go in the morning. So the first team which went there, it was led by Mohanchan Sharma. So they wanted to first confirm if there is anybody inside or not. So one person was in the uniform of Vodafone representative.
Acha, it wasn't an open thing. They went as khufia.
They went as khufia in the beginning, but if there was a possibility of somebody inside, then the team will go inside and try to interrogate and find out about those people.
So it wasn't an ambush that day?
No, it was not.
It wasn't planned to be?
No,
okay.
Not at all. And another criteria was when the team is going there in the highly congested area, if they go with the police uniform or if they go with a bulletproof jacket, because bulletproof jackets you have to wear outside. Everybody can see it. And suppose they are not there. You come out. You will be spotted. People will know that police had come to this particular house and they will vanish with that information. So team decided not to wear the bulletproof jacket.
Which later was criticized.
It was a deliberate decision by Mohanchan Sharma. And then team went there, 7-member team went there. This Vodafone person, he found that there are people inside. Then the whole team went. It was on the 4th floor. They knocked at the door, declaring themselves to the police. The door did not open. The voices became silent inside. But then they found there is a side door. So side door was open actually. Later on we found that why it was open, one of the boy had gone for taking an exam and he went by the side door. So as soon as they entered, the people inside were prepared. They started firing on them.
How do you think they knew? How were they prepared?
Because police has they have already declared the police. Open the door.
If they went as Vodafone, they should have just said Vodafone. Why did they say ki hum
See,
police
Vodafone person only confirmed. Then you are asking people to open the door and you have to disclose your identity, who you are. See, if the normal person, he will open the door. But here, by that time, we were not knowing that they are terrorists or not terrorists.
Oh, okay. Or they were armed or not.
There are suspicion. Suspicion may not be always true. There had been cases where we had suspicion and ultimately found that these people were not involved. So there was firing and encounter took place. Our team also fired back where 2 persons died in the encounter. 2 persons were able to run away from there and one was caught.
The Indian Mujahideen guys.
Yeah. Later on when we searched their mobile phones record, their laptop, the huge informations were there. And the number of songs which were there, they have not come out basically. They were motivational songs. Even anybody listens to that, person will be motivated to join terrorism. And then there were slides they have made. Slides pertaining to what happened in various countries against the Muslims, including what happened in Gujarat and other places.
And why the Indian youth should take up arms.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And also there were clips indicating the unexploded bomb in Ahmedabad. What they put is they put all the bombs in the shape of IM. And on the back there was a curtain. On that it was written in Gujarati, Indian Mujahideen, Ahmedabad. And they took snap of that. And video of also that. And this video was available in the record. One more record was available. There were 4 cars which were placed with the bombs in the hospitals. The purpose was that when the injured comes to the hospitals, their families comes to the hospital, there will be explosions in these cars.
Where were the cars located?
Cars were located in the hospitals, 2 in Ahmedabad and 2 in Surat. Because they had also planted bombs in Surat, but Surat bombs did not explode because on the printed circuit board which they have used, one capacitor was missing. So those bombs in Surat were did not explode actually. It is then we also found that the bomb on the cycle, unexploded bomb on the cycle, which they exploded in Jaipur. They had taken a clip of that also. So a lot of evidences were available in there.
This is post-encounter though.
This is a post-encounter.
Encounter mein kya hua? What went wrong?
See, encounter is because these people had weapons with them. They fired at the police.
What were the weapons?
They had weapons, the small arms they were having. And they had hidden one AK-47 also, which was actually not used by them. So it was the firing from both the sides.
What were your weapons?
Our weapons were also small arms.
Okay, concealed.
See, concealed.
Okay.
Only it is when what happened is when the Mohanchand Sharma got bullet injury and one of other head constable Balwant got the bullet injury, they were shifted to hospital. By that time, there were 2 terrorists in one of the room. Then the second team reached there, which was with the AK-47 and bulletproof jacket, headed by ACP Sanjeev Yadav. Now that team entered into the side room in which there were 2 terrorists. One was found hidden in the bathroom and another also fired on our head constable, which got bullet injury on the chest. But since he was wearing bulletproof, he survived because of that. And this second terrorist who died, he was in that particular room.
What were the learning experience? Firstly, I think this encounter also, it broke the back of Indian Mujahideen to a large extent. It was a very turning point event in that. Ek to wo bataiye about that. And the second one was that, was it significant as far as investigation is concerned? These 2 points.
See, one is the investigation was excellent in the sense that we were able to trace ultimately the Indian Mujahideen, which all the police forces were looking. Second, it indicates the cooperation between
Till
police
then,
forces.
I think there was also this doubt that what is it? Does it even exist, Indian Mujahideen?
See, doubt was that some of the people floated the idea that Indian Mujahideen is nothing but Simi. You cut S of the Simi and I of the last of the Simi and it becomes Indian Mujahideen. Simi gives the logistic support only in the case of Gujarat blasts. Before that, it was Huji of Bangladesh which was giving support. Those people were caught by UP police. After they were caught by UP police, they took help of Simi. And these people, interestingly, I was reading one of the interrogation before these people were caught of Gujarat police. So they were saying that these boys were different. They are clean shaved.
The Indian Mujahideen.
Indian Mujahideen. They speak proper English also.
As compared to Huji.
As compared to Huji,
and
as compared
Simi.
to Simi were again educated people, but they were having different types of, they wear pant and shirt. They were talking about the Indian Mujahideen people like that. So difference between the if I say Indian Mujahideen and the Simi or the Huji people or other terrorist group is that these Indian Mujahideen persons, they were educated in the modern education.
And they were self-radicalized?
They were not, I would not say self-radicalized. See, it started with basically Tihar jail. There were 3 people in Tihar. One was a kidnapper, Dinesh Thakur. Another was a person who was seeking to become a terrorist, Asif Raja Khan. And third was a terrorist, Omar, who later on convicted in Pakistan. These were the 3 people who met in the Tihar jail. They exchanged ideas and became friends. After coming out, Dinesh Thakur and Asif Raja Khan formed a kidnapper group and a terrorist group. And they were collecting money for terrorism through kidnapping.
So it was just an extortion thing. It was not religious based initially.
Initially, it was extortion, but extortion for the purpose of using it for terrorism.
Okay.
Then Asif Raja Khan and Dinesh Thakur, they even went to Pakistan. had discussions with the terrorists. And like the terrorist organizations there, the Lashkar-e-Toiba.
Sir, Dinesh Thakur की बात हो रही थी, तो why would Dinesh Thakur's group be involved in terrorism-related activities?
See, it was not basically Dinesh Thakur, but Dinesh Thakur group had one person named Aftab Ansari. Now this Aftab Ansari was caught by Delhi police. So Aftab Ansari has the gang of Dinesh Thakur with him, which was a gang of kidnappers. Now when Aftab Ansari went to the jail, he met one person, Asif Raja Khan. Now Asif Raja Khan was a strange personality from Calcutta. He wanted to join terrorism. And in that pursuit, he went twice to Kashmir, met terrorists there, took training also.
You're talking about the 80s now? 1980s or?
I am talking of
90s.
90s.
90s, okay, huh.
Then he went to Bangladesh also. He wanted to attend a training camp in POK, Pak Occupied Kashmir. He could not go, but in that process, he was caught by Delhi police. He was in jail. There was another person, Omar, who was from Al-Qaeda and who also joined Lashkar-e-Toiba.
Omar was in Delhi.
Delhi jail. So
How did he join Al-Qaeda? यहाँ से निकल गया?
He was previously in Al-Qaeda.
Oh.
He was a student of London School of Economics also.
Shabash. Okay.
So he was sent to India to get certain terrorists out from the jail. The plan was to kidnap certain foreigners. So he kidnapped some UK persons and US persons. What he did is he posed himself to be having some land in a village and told those people that we will go there. He became friendly with them. So few of them were taken to the village, and I think one person was kept in Ghaziabad in one house. What happened is Ghaziabad police was trying to locate a thief, and in that process they went to that house. There was an encounter in which one policeman also died. The foreigner was rescued. Then there was a raid in the village where other foreigners were rescued. This Omar was caught there. And he was kept in the Tihar jail. So in Tihar jail, these three people met. One is a terrorist. One is who wanted to be terrorist. And one is a kidnapper. Or a person belonging to the gang of kidnapper. Now
they found a common cause.
They found a common cause, and then after they got released, Omar went to Pakistan, and these two people went to Calcutta, where they started doing kidnapping for ransom, and they collected huge money out of that kidnapping for ransom, and they started using it for terrorist purposes. Both of them went to Pakistan. And they met the terrorist organizations there.
How did they go to Pakistan, come back from Pakistan?
See, at that time, they were going to Bangladesh first. Bangladesh, there was an organization called Huji, which is a terrorist organization. They will arrange a Bangladesh passport for them.
Okay.
And in that, they will go to Pakistan. And they return through Bangladesh only.
Because it's a porous border?
Yes. No, they were going by flight.
Oh.
From India, it was a porous border.
But to come from Bangladesh, enter into India...
It is a porous border.
And plus, if they have a Bangladesh passport, kaun rokega unhe?
While coming back, they had Indian. But for going from Bangladesh to Pakistan, they had a Bangladesh passport.
Okay.
And they get a good support from the terrorist organization called Huji, which was banned in 2006 in Bangladesh.
Okay.
So that was the process. So they went from Bangladesh, they went to Pakistan, and they met the terrorist organization, Lashkar-e-Toiba, as well as Jaish-e-Mohammed. And then there was a pact that they will help these organizations to install resident agent in India.
Okay.
And this process started.
All these sleeper cells which were put in?
There's a lot of people started coming to India.
JEM, trained by JEM?
Trained by them. And they started settling at different places.
Okay.
But some of them were caught by Delhi police first, and then by through intelligence agencies at other places also.
So during the Batla House encounter, did you find any addresses and all that of these sleeper cells?
No, not sleeper cells, but we found the addresses of the Indian Mujahideen
Indian
people.
Mujahideen.
Yeah.
I see.
Now, what happened is Asif Raja Khan was killed in India by in an encounter. So after that, this Aftab Ansari and his younger Asif Raja Khan younger brother Amir Raja Khan, they joined hands, and they wanted to take revenge. Aftab Ansari had gone to Saudi Arabia. Now from there he planned, and the resident agents which were there in India, in Hazaribagh, he used them, and some of the Indians he used them. One was a Sadiq, who had been sent for training. And all these people who were sent for training by, later on by Amir Raja Khan and initially by Asif Raja Khan, were through Bangladesh. They will motivate people, they will send to Bangladesh, and from Bangladesh they will send to Pakistan for training. Now they had attack on the American center. After they had attack on American center.
In Calcutta?
In Calcutta. Aftab Ansari was caught. And after the Aftab Ansari was caught, he is in the Calcutta jail. Hanging has been awarded to him, but it has not been executed till now. For a long period, it is pending. Then Amir Raja Khan formed the whole Indian Mujahideen group. One module was from Azamgarh. Another module was from Pune. So these two modules were working together. So that's how Indian Mujahideen was formed.
Right. So inko, their training was done in Pakistan, in weapons training, in radicalization, wo tapes banana, music, all this was done in Pakistan?
No.
Or was it done in India also?
See, if you take Asif Raja Khan, he was self-motivated. And twice he went to Kashmir to take training. He met terrorists there. He took weapon training also there. But he wanted to go to the camps of Pakistan. Okay. Somehow he was not able to go. And then he was caught by police in one of the case in which he was in jail. Actually, Aftab Ansari I caught personally.
Okay.
Before that.
How?
See, Dinesh Thakur was demanding money from a businessman in Delhi who came to meet me. I was at that time DCP Northwest. So I put a team of ACP Ravi Shankar on that job. In the process of catching him, encounter took place with him. So it was in the Ashok Vihar market. And Ashok Vihar market is just, I think, around 25 or 50 feet away from my office. So when encounter was taking place, I personally went there. So the shopkeepers indicated somebody is running away. So I chased him. And I caught him in the bylanes.
Were you armed?
No, I was not harmed.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So, so this Aftab Ansari took out his ID card, said that he is a journalist.
Okay. That's nice.
By that time, some police people also reached there. Then he was searched. A pistol was found from him.
Okay.
So that's how he was caught.
Also, now it gives me an insight as to why the Delhi police is always looking at us with suspicion ki journalist hai, to fir kuch to hoga. No, that's a side thing that I'm talking.
This Aftab Ansari had a gang of Dinesh Thakur with him.
Okay.
Most of them were Hindus. They were doing kidnapping for ransom. The money was collected by Aftab Ansari. Some part given to them, and the other part was used for the terrorist purposes.
Okay.
Asif Raja Khan was handling their terrorist module. And he was motivating people.
And this is still only Delhi based, Abhi?
No, it was Calcutta based.
Calcutta based.
Yeah, they had their base in Calcutta.
So as Delhi police, now you are interacting to catch all these Indian Mujahideen people. You have to interact with Gujarat police, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Kashmir, because Indian Mujahideen's operations are pan-India.
Yes.
So was the cooperation good in catching them?
See, in the terrorist-related cases, cooperation is done through the central intelligence agencies.
Okay.
And it is excellent coordination. That I told you that in the case of Indian Mujahideen, we got inputs like from Gujarat police. We got inputs from the Bombay police. And those inputs were further developed. And that's how the Delhi police was able to reach at the proper site.
But you'd also need IB and RAW because there's Pakistan involved also?
See, it is as far as India is concerned, it is intelligence bureau. And if any information comes through RAW, it comes to the
IB.
To IB, and through IB it comes to the
Police.
Okay.
So now tell me about, because of Batla House, if you remember, there was a lot of talk about political interference at that time. So what was the pressure? Did you get an open check ki haan, inke piche lag jao? Or was there political interference also?
No, I'll not say political interference before they were caught. Or two of them were killed in encounter. But elections were coming in 5 states in November 2008. And there were national elections in 2009. So there were certain vested interest people. They were talking of religion. They were talking of these people are of particular religion. At one place somebody told me they were Muslims, the police people were Hindus. So I told that they were not Muslims. They were terrorists. And we are not Hindus. We are in police uniform. We are policemen. And our allegiance is to the constitution when we are in uniform. And therefore, we were catching terrorists. It's not a question of religion. Anybody who is involved in terrorism, anybody who is doing the blasts would be caught. But there were people like, on one hand, Amar Singh gave certain contribution to Maya Sharma, wife of Mohan Chand Sharma. On the other side, he told about that it is a fake encounter. Mamta Banerjee, she came to the Okhla area. And in a public meeting, she was talking against Delhi police. I think it is a vote bank politics. And which should be avoided as far as terrorism is concerned. There should be a policy on terrorism, national policy on terrorism. Anybody speaking against the action, against the terrorists, should he speak only after he got the evidences that something was wrong. It is not just you go to the public and say. And when politicians talk to the public in that manner, the public get impressions. Because they believe in their politicians. And that is a very sad state of affair.
I also want to ask you then, how do you keep your force motivated? Because when politicians say this in public meetings, say even in the Okhla area, you've got to operate there, right? It's not a no-go zone. You have to operate. And if the people think that, if the people get the impression that it was a fake encounter, how do you go back to the area and police the area?
See, there are difficulties, I admit. If the people create wrong impressions, wrong messages are given. There was one public meeting held, or you can say public trial held by some of the people from Delhi University, people from legal fraternity, where they had the public trial. And without evidences, they were making aspersions on police. They brought out one paper also. Then there were certain politicians speaking about it. Then there were certain news reports which cooked up the stories. Like one said ki somebody saw from a building adjoining this building, L18 Batla House, what is happening. Now, the building adjoining this L18 Batla House are 2-story buildings. This is 4-story buildings. Encounter took place on the 4th story. How will you see from the 2nd story inside the house what is happening? I have seen such type of stories at that time.
Media reports, you mean?
Media reports. Because the fantasy of the people, what could have happened.
So it could also be planted reports.
It could be planted reports. I agree with that.
Achha, I also want to ask you, which I was telling you about, that how do you keep your force motivated?
See, there were 2 factors in this about the motivation. First was the death of Mohan Chand Sharma. Now the whole team of the special cell is very cohesive team. They work case after case together. They have emotional attachment. The first thing was after his death, how the team would start investigating further. And if you don't investigate further, you lose leads. So I had to talk to them, made them convinced that if Mohan Chand Sharma would have been alive, he would have asked the same questions to you, that work hard, follow the leads. And so I left some people, some police officers in the hospital, and remaining had to be put on the job of further investigation. And I set myself for the interrogation, so that the team is working on that.
So-
and second was the issue of these reports. We worked hard for that. Like I met Mr. Kapil Sibbal. He called me. I met Jamia Millia's VC, who was talking in favor of terrorists at that time. We met various people to explain and show them the evidences. Then at one occasion, I remember my team members come and they said, "Sir, for doing a work for the nation, will they hang us?" So you have to bring out the fears of such people. You have to console them that nothing will happen. We'll work hard. And we will be able to catch more terrorists. And of course, with that information, which we shared with other agencies, they also arrested, Mumbai police arrested some of them, Gujarat police, UP police, and Delhi police further also arrested some of them. So that at the end, the whole Indian Mujahideen module vanished from India. That was the biggest work I can say about that.
So Atiq Ahmed, let me talk about that. Special cell mein the aap. So tell us about that. What happened there?
See, Atiq Ahmed, about some information had come to one of the officers. And then the team caught him. And when he heard the name of special cell, the team told me that his pet loon was wet because of fear, perhaps he got.
So he wasn't that dreaded. Special cell ke naam se.
See, I have not found any criminal to be very, very dreaded.
Okay.
We have handled large number of the top criminals of the country. The scare is created by giving them big names in the newspaper or something.
The media thing.
Media and other people.
Make them larger than life, hai na?
Secondly, when they become larger than life, the people do not come to give evidence against them. They are afraid. See, I'll tell you, we caught one Rajan Tiwari. He was from Bihar. In 1999 or 98 end. It was on the information provided by CBI. They provided the phone number, that it would be the phone number of Rajan Tiwari, and they were suspecting him to be involved in some of the important murders in Bihar. So we caught him in Delhi. And he was involved in large number of cases. The other day in 2017 or something, I went to give evidence against him. So I found, I went to sat in the court in the front row. I found one man sitting behind me in a white sport kurta pajama. He said, "Namaste, sir." Namaste. I thought some neta would be there. Of course, he had become minister after we caught him.
Tiwari?
Yeah, in Bihar.
Okay.
So,
they're talking about political nexus with mafia. They became politicians.
Yes.
Then what do you do?
So, I said, "Namaste." Then he said, "Sir, aapne mujhe fasa diya."
Oh God.
So I then looked back him and found he is Rajan Tiwari.
Oh my goodness.
So then I found nobody gave witness in other cases against him. And he had been acquitted in the cases where he killed one of the minister of Bihar in the hospital. So the problem is they become dreaded. People don't come to give evidence against them.
The criminal justice system is completely broken in the country. If this is what happens, that no witnesses comes, they forget about going to jail. They become politicians and leaders. They become your bosses.
Sometimes.
And then your transfers and postings happen.
I remember in Goa, I had got arrested one person named Babush. And thereafter, there were elections. He contested election and he became a minister.
So there. Salute आपको मारना पड़ता है फिर उनको. And you know he's a criminal.
Yes.
And you still will have to salute him and call him sir.
That is absolutely.
So you tell me, what is the solution? How is everybody talks about police reforms. What about the criminal justice system?
See, we require faster trial. That's the only solution. We require more magistrates. We require system where advocates are not able to take time again and again. See, many of them what do is...
The tariq pe tariq pe tariq.
Yeah. Many of them what they do is, if the witnesses come, they will not appear in the court and say, send their junior. And say that today he is busy in some other court. Now this system has to be changed properly. I know the case, one police officer came from UK. He was collecting some evidence in India. I asked him, how is your process? He says, dates have been fixed. What they do in UK is, they ask both the advocates, whatever evidences you have to bring, defense lawyer as well as the prosecution lawyer, you bring in these 3 days. And you tell us which 3 days both of you are free, both the sides of the advocates. They fix those dates. And the trial is completed in those 3 days.
Yahan pe date pe date.
Yahan pe there is always date. I remember in one case, it was a case of anti-corruption which I caught in 87. So, first date came in somewhere in 1988. We had the public witness. They were very happy to go to the court. I was also there to go to the court. And then the defense advocate said, I am not prepared. And thereafter, from 1988, I appeared in this case in 2007.
Oh my God.
I was called in 2007, other witnesses would have been called.
Out of sheer exhaustion, the witnesses will turn hostile.
No, the public witnesses were abusing me later.
Yeah. They'll either die or they'll just lose interest and it's too much.
And by 2007, the main accused had died.
Like we're seeing in the 84 cases, Delhi riots cases. Chali ja rahe, nothing happens. Right? So many of those cases. Anyway, now that you brought the financial issue, let me talk about the Enforcement Directorate, which you headed. The PMLA, the Supreme Court has upheld the powers of the ED with regard to PMLA, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The opposition claims that it is being used against opposition leaders and subversion of democracy happens as a result of that. There is no transparency in the way ED operates. What is your view about it?
See, all those people who have been caught or are being searched, they are involved in certain criminal cases which are not registered by ED. See, the PMLA works like this. There is 3 schedules in PMLA Act. Now, they have number of statutes. They have 30 acts consisting of around 160 sections. Now, if any case has been registered by some other agency, not ED, in that, for example, if it is a case of corruption, the case registered by CBI or case registered by anti-corruption branch of the state, if they are investigating the case after registration, only then ED can come to play. So ED cannot take up money laundering case without any predicate offence. Supreme Court has also said very clearly, if there is no predicate offence, there is no money laundering offence in the Madanlal case. So all these people who have been searched, who have been raided, they are certainly involved in certain cases, which we say predicate offence or schedule offences. And then ED has to find out where that money has gone.
So this is what they're saying, na? That it starts with income tax departments, it starts with CBI, and then cases are registered, and it's only the opposition, and the final hatauda is the ED which comes.
See, ED because it attaches the property. So people are, it's a proceeds of crime are gone from you, for example. Then the whole purpose of crime goes off. See, any criminal person is doing a crime because of what? He wants to earn money. If that money is taken away. And this concept came basically in 1980s, where against the drug mafia, Italy police, instead of following the crime, they start following the money trail. The police went to even US, took help of US police, and ultimately there were 2 trials. One is known as the pizza trial cases. And one is known as the maxi trial cases. Visa trial cases in US and the maxi trial cases in Italy. And basic concept here comes is the criminals should not be allowed to use proceeds of crime. And it led to the UN Convention in 1988, which is called the Vienna Convention, and then led to the formation of Financial Action Task Force, which formulates the policies for money laundering and terror financing. They have 40 recommendations and they have 11 outcomes to monitor if those recommendations are being implemented properly or not. Okay. So it is a world over. The proceeds of crime are to be traced, has to be seized, so that the criminals or the corrupt people are not able to enjoy the fruits of their bad deeds.
You were talking about that the proceeds of crime should not go. So that's why the ED comes into play and the money trail is traced. But this is exactly what the opposition says, is that why is it that corruption is only restricted to the opposition and not to the ruling party? Now, you've been ED chief. How impartial, how fair and even-handed is the Enforcement Directorate?
See, I remember we were totally fair. And whosoever was involved, depending upon what cases come to us. For example, take Chhagan Bhujbal case. His all money was attached thereafter. He was arrested also. Similarly, the other cases, there was one person, Kadam, in Maharashtra. Again, a politician. He got a huge amount, I think 170 crore or something, for the development of his community. And can you imagine all the money which came for the development of the community, he transferred to his banks. And from his bank accounts, some of that he used for elections and some of that he used for his own purposes. So if the people will do this, certainly they will be caught.
So as ED chief, you would have met the Prime Minister also. How does it work? Is there political interference from the cabinet, from your ministers, from a Prime Minister? You worked for quite some time. So could you tell me how it works?
See, there was never a political pressure. What I had been told, work fearlessly. That's all.
Phone calls don't come, sir?
No.
No pressure?
Who will phone?
ED के डायरेक्टर को क्या हो रहा है, किसको पकड़ रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं?
No, see, I had one instance during my career. I think when I was young, DCP Northwest, I had a tiff with one of the minister. And he made complaints against me. He wanted to get me transferred out. Actually, he sent some muscle men to me and they wanted to grab some land. Okay. So this minister, so I told them, get out of this place. This can't be done. So this minister rang me up saying, how did you ask those people to get out? So I told him that their work is wrong. They want to grab a land. I can't help such people. So he was upset. He says, how dare you say to these two men? And any criminal, I'll say this thing. So he was upset on that. He made a complaint against me. So thereafter, I found people will not threaten me or people will not argue me for any wrong things.
एक precedent set हो गया that this officer will not bend.
Yes.
Okay, I get that. So you led the investigations against Nirav Modi and Vijay Mallya. Yeah. How did they escape? What happened?
See, they escaped before the case came to us actually. There was a complaint in CBI against Vijay Mallya of IDBI Bank, if I remember correctly. When he ran away at that stage. When the case was registered and we also started investigating, he had already been out. But in Vijay Mallya case, we were able to attach his property worth 14,000 crore. In PMLA case, and second is the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act,
which you helped.
Which came in which came in 2018, and Vijay Mallya was the first person against whom we used that, and we were able to attach more property than the property involved in the money laundering.
Okay.
So, and in that case, the banks have got a huge money back also. So that is the advantage of catching the money.
And what happened with Nirav Modi?
Nirav Modi, again, we got the case when he had already been out of the country. And his good property had been attached in India and abroad. And what we found, that is, some of the diamonds which we attached were found to be of the very low value. Like he was selling at a huge value, but they were actually of low value.
Yeah.
Like in one case, we attached the diamonds as per the invoices, 3,800 crore. But its value was only 28 crore.
3,828.
Yes. Can you imagine how much he was duping the public also?
मतलब वो, they were just pathar. They were.
Yes. And he created such a hype. The people wanted to purchase.
Yeah, because of the advertising.
Yes.
And at that time, I was in a, just to bring a personal anecdote, I was in a hotel lobby and I was waiting for my car to come, and there was this very sophisticated NRI lady, obviously, very, very wealthy. And she had come for a wedding, and she was discussing with another lady, and she said कि last year मैंने अपनी बेटी के लिए यहाँ से मैं jewelry लेके गई थी. I bought Nirav Modi jewelry for my daughter's wedding back in America, and now we get to know that most of the jewelry was fake, that the diamonds were fake. And that's when, I was like, oh my God, is this true? And then the story broke, that which you people found, that a lot of the diamonds were not real.
Absolutely.
But nobody would have guessed, right?
That is true. Because this is an industry where
a lot of it was on trust and hype.
Yeah, normal people will not be able to differentiate between the genuine and not genuine.
Yeah. So when he was caught and when he escaped, and then all this was found, why is it that India has not been able to bring these chaps back?
I'll talk about both of them. Vijay Mallya case, we sent for the extradition, CBI and ED both. The whole legal process is complete there. And the Supreme Court of that country has directed that he should be extradited. But due to some reasons, best known to UK, he is not yet been transferred to India.
Why do they all go to UK? What is your view about this?
I can't say.
Why is that a haven for all fugitives from so many countries, including India?
See, any country from where people will not be able to extradite it ultimately, certainly is a heaven for such people. I can't say much about UK because their legal process helped and really came out with the clear directions that he should be extradited. But there are other processes which are shielded in...
and there's political interference, all that is there. But there's also this thing that all of them appeal, whether it is in these small countries, these island countries, or in the UK and the others, they say that if we are sent back to India, then we will be killed in the prisons of India. See, why does India have that reputation?
See, India doesn't have that reputation, but it is created in the sense that some people start talking about that. In the Vijay Mallya case, again this issue was raised, that Indian jails are not conducive to live. And we had sent the reports about Indian jails, Indian prisons. Photographs are also sent, videos were sent. And their courts were convinced that there is no problem in that.
So the AgustaWestland scandal, you were involved in that investigation also.
Yes.
According to the ED, there was this middleman, Christian Michael, and he mentions Mrs. Gandhi in response to a query. What happened there? Was her name involved in the investigations?
See, there was a piece of paper which was found during search by, I think, some foreign agency, not Indian agency, in which certain distribution of money was written. And this distribution of money, certain names in coded words were written. Like family, so much amount. No, what is a family? So later on, Christian Michael told what is a family during interrogation. Now that process is going on. because I'm not part of that process now. When Christian Mission was brought from Dubai, by that time I had superannuated. So that process I will not be knowing what exactly he confessed. But there was a piece of paper which named various people.
Okay. So, for your years in Delhi police, why is it that the city is so difficult to police? Is it because it's too large, or the force is too small to manage it, and also the political problems that occur, where the state government is constantly in in loggerheads with the central government. State government belongs to one party. The central government, the Delhi police comes under the central government. There's layers of government that we have. How difficult is it for the Delhi police to function?
See, I worked in Delhi police for a long period. I worked outside Delhi police also. Like I worked in Goa, Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram. The political pressure is minimum in Delhi police. I say it is almost zero. The pressure on Delhi police is the time pressure. You have to perform as fast as possible because you have the media here, you have the central government here, you have parliament here. So the pressure is of different types. And that pressure puts officers to work very hard. Now, you are talking about the problem in policing. See, number one, we have to understand there are various crime creating, which we say criminogenic factors, which are not under the control of police. For example, inequality, economic inequality, people living in slums. Now, how their psyche developed. Sometimes they have nothing to eat. And they become criminal because of that. And once they do crime, they start feeling, yes, it pays. So there are various factors. And there is a population which is migrant population. There is a population which is daily coming and going out of Delhi. So this population density, the anonymity which is creates a problem for handling the crime. But Delhi police is using the police public relations. The relations with the resident welfare associations, market welfare associations, the public contact. So through that, they are able to get a lot of information.
So two things which I want to ask. One was which you're talking about, this migrant population. New York used to have similar issues, migrant population, and as a result of that, it was difficult in the 80s. The crime rate was so high, but somehow they managed to control criminal activity in New York. They also have a migrant population. They also have a lot of inequality, housing issue. There are certain areas where the inner city areas, extreme poverty and crime which happens out there. They manage to control it somehow without increasing their police force. So is it increase in numbers, is that important? And then the gruesome crimes that happen against women in Delhi, whether it was the Nirbhaya case, whether it was the Shraddha case, how can Delhi move away from that? How can there be change drastically and quickly?
See, number one is the criminal justice system as a whole has to be seen. A person is caught. He does 25 crimes. Take example of snatching cases. He comes out within 3 months, 4 months out of jail. He has no source of income except this. He again start doing this. If you have a criminal justice system which is able to decide case quickly, maybe in such cases in 3 months, 4 months. And if these people do not come out of the jail, certainly the crime will go down. If there is no fear in the people that they will ultimately be punished, they will ultimately be convicted. If that fear is not there, then they get motivated. So we have to improve our criminal justice system. That is number one. Number two is we have to improve the performance mechanism also. Today, how do you measure the performance of a police force? Number of cases registered. Now, what is the number of cases registered? You don't register cases. So when I was a joint CP, Northern Range, I used to get in the morning the report from PCR. So you know what happened in the city, in your area. Then I used to ask, this was a call of snatching, what happened? So I forced them to register cases where the cases were not registered. So what happened is my police stations were at the top in the registered crime. Not, I would not say in the crime, because if you are registering all the cases, then when the criminal is caught, he has to face trial in all those cases. If you don't register out of 70 cases, you don't register 55 cases, he is facing trial only in 20 cases. So that is one problem, which we say sometimes burking of the cases, non-registration of the cases. And some of the officers, what they do is they don't let the case registered.
Because it shows up in numbers.
It shows. And then they will say that I have done so well. The people who are getting the cases registered, it problem comes to them. I'll give example of Mr. V.N. Singh. He asked for free registration. He was transferred. So it happens. Mr. Nikhil Kumar tried it, but he was transferred because of certain other reasons. Some Karnal Play shootout case. The problem is how to monitor the performance of the police. I have an idea in that we should have a police public perception index. If the public feel that they are safe, even if the statistic shows that crime has increased, that has no meaning. If the public doesn't feel they are safe, even if the crime statistics goes down, that crime statistics going down has no meaning in the eyes of public. So that index would help. We have to switch over the system from statistics based. Media also talks of that only. So many cases increased in Delhi. And opposition take advantage of that increased in statistics. So it becomes a vicious circle.
So the perception wali baat jo keh rahe the, that feeling of being safe.
Yes.
Now this is like, in Uttar Pradesh say, it's not correct to go about bulldozing people's homes. But when you talk to the people, it is the same thing. The criminal justice system is so pathetic. So when a mafia don's house is broken down, they say, अच्छा हुआ कि ये तोड़ दिया, because otherwise through the judicial process he is never going to get into trouble. So though this is extrajudicial in some matters, if you call it, it is extrajudicial because the house breaking has got nothing to do with the nature of crime or the crime that was committed. In spite of that, people turn around and then there is that dar of the police that is there. So they say that डर होना चाहिए. जब डर हो जाता है पुलिस का तो माफिया अपने आप कम करती है. So now you tell me that the traditional way of doing it, the conventional way of doing it, or this unconventional way, what works better?
See, the question is the creation of fear. Now these mafia works basically on fear. They create fear in the minds of the people by doing certain crime in broad daylight. Now, if they are taken to task, they are put behind bars even. Their property can be attached. Today we have laws. Their property can be attached and put to any other use. So if that steps are taken properly, the people feel that the fear goes out of their mind. And you said absolutely right. I also talked to the people in Uttar Pradesh. They feel secure. And that is what I was talking. It is a perception index. How people will feel. The crime may be there still. But that crime is not creating fear in the minds of public. But when we can't say that we can make a crime-free society. It may not be possible because crime is generated because of certain other factors. Because of greed sometimes, because of lust sometimes, the crime takes place. But if the people are afraid that they can be taken to task legally, even then it creates in the minds of the other people, yes.
Legally also, what happens is that legal awareness in our country is so low. I was speaking to a tribal activist in central India, and he was saying that in many areas people don't know that what they are doing, like say for example the POXO Act, teenagers experiment with sexual activity and things like that, and then the parent goes to the police and registers a complaint against a boy about his daughter. It might have been consensual, but the fact is that as soon as he registers that complaint, because they are underage, वो immediately POCSO Act के अंदर there's no bail. So सालों साल वो सड़ता रहता है as an under trial. It never comes up because they were unaware of the POCSO Act, and because there is so much of in illiteracy in some of the tribal belts. They don't know that those laws, they are breaking those laws.
See, number one is the ignorance of law is no excuse. That is the basic legal maxim. But I agree with you on one aspect, that the people should know basic laws. And maybe those basic laws can be included in general awareness, can be included in the school curriculum, so that people are aware of their rights.
None of us knew when we were in school and college. None of it was taught to us in real terms.
Yeah, that is true.
That what is my right as a woman? What is the POCSO Act? Now after the Nirbhaya case, everybody started reading up, right? And it also, like, in the Nirbhaya case, it was that the guy who was the under 17, who was supposed to be the most brutal. He got away after 3 years. So people were like, what is this? How? So I don't think people are aware in many cases about our laws.
Yes.
So legal awareness is important, and you feel it should be brought about more in school and college levels.
Yeah, school and college level, in general awareness also to be created. Not necessary that many people do not go to the schools also.
Yeah, correct.
So it has to be created either through social work or through political work.
Okay.
Both ways it can be created.
So we spoke about media trials earlier when we were discussing. How does that impact upon policing? Because even when you were in Enforcement Directorate, if now politicians are saying that ED is politicized, and how does you function? How does the agency function when there is so much of media trial that happens?
See, the media requires information to be presented to the public. That is their basic need. The investigating agencies also need to investigate and collect evidences. Now the investigating agency should learn about that, at what stage the information should be shared with media. What happens is informations are shared with media many a times before they mature itself. That should not be done. Now the case is in the Supreme Court about what information should be given, what should not be given about the media trial, and it's a long pending. It is started with in the Batla House encounter. One of this was about the media trial, and this was referred to the Supreme Court. There are other cases also of media trial are referred to Supreme Court, where some guidelines are to be formed. Either the government forms the guidelines or the judiciary forms the guidelines. Let's see what happens. But certain guidelines are required for media. What is their boundaries within which they have to work?
Right. So let me get on to your personal life. You have a master's degree in computer science from IIT Kanpur, then a degree in law, an MBA from University of Delhi. You graduated Delhi College of Engineering 1979. You have a diploma in information technology from the Asian School of Cyber Laws. Do you collect degrees as a hobby? What do you?
See, degree is not my aim. Even today, I go to the one website is there, Coursera. I go to that and I do large number of courses. Daily I read for some time. For example, cryptocurrency. I have not taken certificate in that, but I have gone through it. For example, artificial intelligence. I have gone through it. For example, negotiation processes. I read that. See, that's a hobby. I feel rejuvenated when I read. I read about philosophy. The Indian philosophy I have read almost, Upanishads I have read, Darshans I have read. Because you should know about the systems. You should know about your cultures. You should know about what is happening around. And being aware of that, you have to educate yourself. So education is my, you can say, the weak point, where I just want to get education. I want to read. Daily I want to read something. I can't sit idle. So that is, you can say, the what I have developed to be.
So I always ask my guests about, persevering to keep a mental balance in high pressure jobs. Tell me something about your time as ED chief, as in Delhi police also. How do you manage stressful careers, especially with, daily basis when you're dealing with crime and crime related issues?
See, most important thing is that one should be very clear about facts. For example, in Batla House also, I was knowing every evidences, what has happened where. So when Mr. Kapil Sibal called me at the residence of then Lieutenant Governor, he grilled me for 1 hour on the basis of media reports. Then I told him that, sir, I want to show you some evidences. Then I explained him. To begin with, he asked me then how the encounter took place. So I showed him, I made a map of the site in front of him. I took a paper, sketched it and told ki what is where. Why there was a bullet at the head of that. I explained that also. So if you know the facts, if you know the evidences, you have confidence. You can handle stresses. The problem comes when you do not understand the evidences, you do not go through the facts of the cases, and then you try to defend. That's a problem area. And then stresses come. There are no stresses if you are totally devoted to your work. You can guide your team. You can take feedback from your team. Now, in that interaction, which I was talking with Mr. Kapil Sibal, in the end he says, I am convinced that an encounter is genuine. And he further told me that he will inform the PM. And in the evening he rang me saying that he informed the PM that encounter is genuine. So, if you are not conversant yourself, how will you handle that pressure?
Did you speak with Dr. Manmohan Singh on this?
No, I did not speak to him. But Mr. Kapil Sibal, I
was
spoke.
the interface.
Mr. Manmohan Singh was only one incident. We had Delhi Police week in the month of February, 16 to 22nd of February. So there is a function of at home, where PM used to come, President used to come, and other dignitaries used to come. So as a customary, as a couple, we stand behind the President and get a snap done. So I with my wife was moving towards the President. On the way, Lieutenant Governor was standing with the Prime Minister. So he stopped me, Lieutenant Governor. And he introduced me to Prime Minister. And then he told in the end that he is the same officer who has handled the Batla House. So PM said only a few words. He says, you have done a good job. So that clearly indicated me that PM is convinced about.
This is when his own colleague, Salman Khurshid, had said that Sonia Gandhi had tears in her eyes about the Batla House encounter. Though he said that I was misquoted and because there were two views about that whole thing. So that's what I wanted to ask is that आप कभी इधर से ऐसे सुनते हैं उधर से ऐसे सुनते हैं तो doesn't it cause?
See, it causes anxiety, certainly. And you have to balance yourself at that time because your team is with you. Your seniors are with you. It is not that your seniors are not with you. So if you are able to convince your seniors what happened, you are aware, you can explain them. Even LG called me one day and asked me to explain things. So if you are able to explain, you need not bother. The problem comes when somebody calls you and you are not able to explain. Then the doubt is created in his mind.
Right. So in the age of artificial intelligence, जैसे आप कह रहे थे that आप cryptocurrency के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं, in the age of artificial intelligence and cybercrime, what are the biggest challenges you feel for law enforcement in our country?
See, large number of challenges will come. For example, we take deep fakes. Now what happens in deep fakes is, through the artificial intelligence, your video can be altered. So now we talk only about the photos. That photo head has been changed or something. Now the whole your video can be changed. What you are speaking can be changed. Now if that can be changed, people will start believing this person is saying this thing.
Yes.
So that is one area. Second area is through the artificial intelligence, the hacking would be easier. So there will be people who will try to block the hacking through artificial intelligence. There will be people who will try to hack through artificial intelligence. So the safety of computer will become very paramount.
Right.
See, even today, there is a concept of botnet. You might have heard about that. So what is done in that case is a hacker goes into thousands of computers, make them slave. Making them slave means there's a back door is put. That is, at whatever time I want, I can go to the system and give directions to the system. Now suppose your computer has been hacked, and a letter is written from your computer to somebody, which ultimately lead to a criminal activity. Now the police does is they go by the only IP address. With the IP address, they will come to your computer. While you are not aware that you sent that letter, they have to be trained how to locate the back doors. And who actually used your computer. It is not you, somebody else is using your computer. That is the area police has to be taught how to do that investigation. Then there is a concept of Tor, which is called the onion routing. Now what happens is onion routing is, we trace through internet protocol address, every communication from there it is coming. So there are anomizers. What anomizer does is, they will peel off the initial IP address and then put a new IP address.
Jumping, yeah.
So you send a message, a person A send a message from India to person B located in India. But he sent through, suppose, some anomizer in Russia. So what Russian website will do is, it will peel off the IP address of A and put his own IP address, new IP address. Then I go from Russia to Dubai, again got that IP address peeled and put a new IP address.
Yeah.
I rotate through the 10 countries. Then it comes to me, I'll get the last IP address like an onion. So I peel off that, I go to the first country. They tell us if they cooperate. If they don't cooperate, it is gone.
It's gone.
If they cooperate, they will tell us it has come from other.
Yeah.
So how to trace the onion routing? That is not possible unless there is an international cooperation, perfect cooperation.
Correct. And even if there is, sometimes you can't, like what happened in the Israel-Hamas conflict. It's such an intelligence failure, and there was a lot of disinformation, I believe, which was circulating, where there were countries which were involved, which was planting intelligence that West Bank may attack hone wala hai. So the entire effort or international eyes were on the West Bank area, and the attack happened from Gaza. And they were overwhelmed because of the way, and no technical instrument was used, no phone calls, nothing. They just entered, and once they entered and they did this, then they used phones and things like that. So basically, an intelligence organization which was considered the best in the world, they got duped. They got taken over. So sometimes even the best training may not necessarily, because they need to be right once.
Yeah, absolutely.
A terror organization.
Absolutely.
So how does one combat with something like this? How does policing, how does intelligence, how does one combat with this kind of...
See, there are two types of intelligence. The one is the tech, int which we say, and one is human int. So every tech int should be confirmed. If such type of intelligence is coming, should be confirmed through the human intelligence. Because then you have the perfect intelligence. Otherwise, there is always a possibility that through tech int, people can misguide you. There is a possibility.
And in Delhi police, you had that, I mean, it's been there for hundreds of years, I think, that Khabri system, which was on the ground. Does it still happen? Do you still think that the intelligence from those people on the ground who are not uniformed, it is very important for policing?
See, many times perfect information comes from these informers. That is very useful. But nowadays, most of the intelligence is coming from technical intelligence.
I see.
But both type of intelligence are important.
Right. So tell me, sir, what is retired life like for you now?
See, in my retired life, I have one legal firm and enjoying looking after various cases, knowing more about the systems, because people come and tell the truth what happened. Secondly, I have one NGO where we have a group of people. We pick up the financially weaker section from rural area, but who are talented and who are appearing in civil services exam or state services exam. We mentor them, we provide them facilities, we provide them a scholarship through some people, and they are very good results.
What do those people from tier 2, tier 3 cities and towns, when they come in, what service do they actually want to be? Do they want to join the police? Do they want to join the IAS? What is their preferred choice?
It is different. Most of them want IAS, but I have found some people want IPS also. And I remember one girl who is in IPS, he would have been in IAS. And when we filled the form and showed to me later, I told him, why you have done this? She says that I want to become IPS. So it depends upon choice.
And what motivates them to join the civil service? What do you think? Compared to when you joined the civil service, I mean, you did engineering and everything, but still wanted to join the civil service.
No, I did not wanted to join civil services.
You didn't want to join?
No, not at all.
Phir?
See, what happened is when I completed my MTech in computer science, I was interested in doing PhD, but not going abroad within India. So I applied in Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. But immediately after doing MTech, I fell ill. And I was operated. My brother was in Lucknow. I stayed with him. I was operated 3 times. And 4th time I was operated in Delhi when I got cured. So it was between 81 to 83, I was almost off and on in hospital. Thereafter, I applied for job. So some people in my neighborhood were preparing for civil services. So I thought I will also fill the form.
Oh, goodness.
So I started preparing with them. So I got the civil services first rather than getting a job.
Okay. So it was a matter of chance.
It was a matter of chance.
And what do you think that why do children from tier 2, tier 3 cities, what motivates them to join the
it is
civil
basically
services?
status.
Okay.
See, immediately a person who gets into civil services, people start calling him, honoring him. And I tell them this thing. You don't become a big man by these honors. You have to work for the society. You have to work for the people from where you came.
Right.
That is important. Otherwise, people will control you. People will become your friends because you are on a certain post. They are honoring you because tomorrow they will use you. You should think about your work, you should think about your society, and you should think about the nation. And it helps when you talk to these again and again about the nation, about the society. It goes into their brain.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for your service to the country and the continuing service to the youth of this country. All the best in your work. Thank you, sir. Thank you for watching or listening to this edition of ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Do like or subscribe on whichever channel you have seen this or heard this. Namaste. Jai Hind. Click here to watch the previous episodes.